All right. Welcome to ROI Live in 5 minutes, one fix, three times the results. I'm Ryan Dosen. I'm here with Steve Ciprani. We're switching roles today. I'm the
Yep.
host and he's going to be interviewed today. Today we're excited to share with you something really cool that we've developed called the Talent Triage Framework. I'm going to hand it off to Steve. I know he wants to tell us a little bit about it before we do a little bit of role play and how it's used.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. This is something I think that we're really excited about. From an ROI perspective, we have to think of retention as an ROI tool, right? So one of the statistics I always throw out is 40% of people are now leaving a role within 6 months. That's a huge problem. It's a $1 trillion problem in the United States. The other one, if we're kind of looking at this in ROI terms, and I tell people this flat out, right? It's better to keep an employee than hire a new one. When you do have to hire, and sometimes, someone isn't a fit, right? That happens. But anything from 50 to 200% is the cost to get that new person up and running. So we always want to do our due diligence in making sure that this person really isn't a fit. And so we created this thing called the Talent Triage Framework. The whole point of it is to help make it clearer if someone really isn't the fit. There's multiple things that can actually show up with an employee, right? It could be a skill issue. It could be that we haven't been as clear as we need to be as the leader. It could be, maybe the dog just won't hunt, so to speak. It's a will issue. Or it could be a role fit issue, right? We might have found the right person, but it's the wrong seat. So that's a little bit of an overview of it. We love it because you have to think of ROI as a retention strategy in your business.
Awesome. And so we're going to do a little back and forth today. We're going to jump into a hypothetical scenario where, let's say, we've got a business owner that has an employee that's relatively new, but that employee is not responsive enough. And I know we've got a lot of business owners out there that they want things and they want them right away. And sometimes people don't respond. Um, as fast as they would like, right? So we're going to do an interview today. I'm going to be the consultant. Steve's going to be the client or the business owner that has an employee they're having second thoughts about because they're not feeling like the employee is responding fast enough to things. All right. So Steve, thanks for sharing your concern about your new employee. I
Sure.
understand that they're not, you feel like they're not quite responsive enough. I just want to ask a couple of questions just to get a better feel for what's going on. So,
Sounds
if
good.
if motivation in this employee was perfect, do you feel like this person could technically do the job that they were hired for?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon's been in the role for about 6 months. The skills are there. It's too slow. I mean, he can't, doesn't seem like he can keep up. My emails are not getting responded to fast enough. And, I'm having some appointments that, are being scheduled too late. But yeah, technically he can do the job. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, do you feel like you have clearly defined what success looks like by when, how it's measured? Have you defined what success for Brandon looks like in terms of that level of responsiveness that you're wanting to see?
Um, Probably not. I mean, there have been a couple of little emails that, maybe I've hinted at, that this needs to be faster, but I have not had any conversations with him around it. So I guess no.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's something that we're probably going to want to think and talk a little bit about. Sometime I know a lot of times we want to, just assume or figure that someone's gonna just understand what we need, but sometimes we do need to set a good expectation. Now, it sounds like there's a consistent pattern of this where that level of responsiveness is not where it needs to be. Is that correct?
I would say yes. I mean, in the beginning, I knew there was going to be some ramp up time. He's now been in the role for 6 months. So, I'm just like waiting for those ends to meet. And I would say it's definitely a consistent pattern. Yes.
Gotcha. Um, now, and we talked about, setting expectations or has there been any feedback given specifically around responsiveness, or is it just something that's been kind of quietly frustrating and simmering beneath the surface for you?
Probably the latter, the quietly frustrating and kind of simmering and, so, but, no, I haven't had a direct conversation.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And really fast, if this role were open today, would you at this point in time feel like you would want to rehire this person for that role?
Probably not. I mean, it's slowing me down a lot at this point. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So I think that's about where we would take a little bit of a break. Steve, go ahead and chime in. But I
Mhm.
feel like at this point we've identified what Steve and I would feel like is the real thing that needs to be addressed first, right? So, like in this case, obviously the business owner is not happy with the level of responsiveness, but the issue, the larger issue, is there's not really been any communication or expectations set around that level of communication and responsiveness. The business owner in this case has been kind of frustrated and simmering beneath the surface, but they've not said, hey, you need to respond to these things right away, or this is what I'm expecting from you, or when I'm hiring an assistant, this is what I need from them, right? So Brandon in this case, Brandon may not even realize that he's doing anything wrong, and
Right.
he may be perfectly capable of adjusting and adapting, or maybe he's not capable, but we don't know yet. Do
Yes.
you want to add to
No,
that?
I love that. These things pop up all the time. I think as owners of businesses or managers, we have to get really clear. We always have to reflect the mirror on us first, right? And so there's clearly a skill issue happening here, but I think first it's a clarity issue, right? When people come from different industries, I'll just use myself as an example. I was a teacher. It was probably now 10 years ago at this point, but the recommendation where I worked was, hey, if you get an email, we know you're teaching, it's 24 to 48 hours. When I moved into independent business, small business, real estate, recruiting, it was 24 to 48 minutes. It took me a little while to get used to that pace, but I did, and now I'm quite quick, right? So this is definitely a skill that can be taught. I think to your point, the reason we like this triage so much is it identifies what's actually going on here. We have to, as leaders, give someone the benefit of the doubt if we haven't communicated properly enough. And then, if that has been done and we've built a cadence of accountability, then of course you can start looking to, okay, maybe it's not the right
Mhm.
fit. The reason we like the talent triage framework is it will really spotlight or clarify some of these retention issues that, we talk, right, Ryan, all the time to employers that are having employee problems. You're going to have them. A lot of it depends on what is your strategy going to be, and have you set the right expectations, I think, as we saw from this example today. So we think it's a very powerful tool. We would love for you guys to steal this. If you ever want to walk through it with me or with Ryan or one of us, like there's an opportunity to do that in our new community that we just launched called Leader and Team Advisory. And so we're trying very hard to bring some of these problems to the forefront, not just for business owners, but also for the employees that are working with them to, save some of those relationships when we can. So, yeah, thanks for letting me chime in on that a little bit. Any last thoughts from you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, and you said the business owner should hold the mirror up first. So remember, at this point in time, you did a lot of due diligence on this person. You had a lot of reason to believe like this person could succeed, right? You've already actually made an investment at least of time and a lot of times in money. So you want to figure out first, is there anything that I haven't done to set this person up for success, right? You want to look at yourself first, okay? There was a lot that you liked about them in the beginning. There's some stuff you're not liking now. Have I done everything I can to empower this person to succeed or fail in this role? And if the answer is no, I haven't done it, well, then you need to do it, right? And then once you feel like you have set them up for success and you have set good expectations, if they're continuing to fall flat, it's a different story, right? But until then, you got to look at yourself first.
Yeah, I love that. And one just last stat I'll share with those of the people listening. Okay, sometimes we do have to replace people, but one thing I do want people to know is when you hire someone new, they're only going to operate at around 50% productivity in month one, 75% productivity in month three, and 90% productivity in 6 months. So they're still not even fully there after 6 months. I think a lot of times, again, that entrepreneurial energy, wants to move really quickly, you cannot rush the learning process. It is what it is, right? It's going to take time for someone to learn something new. So the funny thing about this story is actually like this person might be almost there, and then that 10% might be that closing that gap that could be an opportunity to have that candid or honest conversation. And then you're going to get that 100% instead of replacing and starting all over again. So it's a really interesting one. If you are in these shoes and you've kind of heard this happen, like give us a call or please download this. We think it could be very helpful. So thanks, Ryan. This was fun today.
You bet. They're going to fire us. We went way over 5 minutes.
As we would, right? So,
Right.
all right. Thanks.